he's whirling these slaves over his head, and he's using them as weapons against me. And I was really hit with this moral dilemma of, you know, what do I do? Because I don't want to hurt. And even the reptilian slaves, I felt this immense compassion for. And I can't understand. It's the first time I've ever seen reptilian slaves. It's the first time I've seen it. Not that it surprises me, but it was very hard to see it. It's very hard to see it in that place of full transfer into the astral world. So I could see what that was. And I felt almost like I need to help them too. Like I slightly stepped out of the targeting reptilian and into more of, we just have to target the tyranny involved. But this particular group is so steeped in that type of tyranny and then type of power possession and hunger for power that unfortunately we have to defend ourselves against them and those who seek that kind of power, seek to take that from others. And so I hurled Mjolnir as hard and as fast as I could when an opening appeared, and just pray, and I still pray, that no one else other than that reptilian king, who I think, just from what he was wearing, seemed to be royalty. I hope only he was hit. The hit seemed to rip through most of the chains and let those souls go. So it was just me and him and my hammer back in my hands. And as we ripped and tore at each other, what usually is a pretty easy conflict because of Thor, this individual, this reptilian, was not, you know, a one-pump chump. He had some serious backing, and and I can tell just from the expenditure alone that my getting better suddenly, my cough and my sickness returned this morning. But I'm very willingly to go through that for what I'm able to do. And we fought and we fought and we grappled and scrapped, and my thumbs were trying to get into his eyes, and I was trying to force Mjolnir into his mouth. He was trying to rip my heart out and tear up my ears and face, and it was just a very, very angry conflict. I just, you know, I don't know, I mean, I can't go blow by blow, but the amount of obscenities, both like storms out of our mouths at each other, and I finally got to the point where I hit him enough times with Mjolnir to get him down and back to the ground, and I could begin to really mount up on him and hammer him from the top down. And I got to the point where I could reach behind his head and with my middle and pointer finger get into both his nostrils and start to arch him back, and then grab underneath his chin, and as I ripped his head back and pulled his chin down, I could rip and rip and rip, and it took everything I had to finally get that jaw to disconnect. And then as I got that jaw to disconnect, I could start ripping on the neck. And it wasn't just the fact that I wanted to break the neck. The neck being broken was just one aspect of it, as I ripped and ripped and ripped and really called for Thor's strength, because I needed more. Because I can't ever go with the full force of Thor. My astral body would literally rip and explode if I tried to have all his strength in me. It couldn't happen. It way could not happen. Thor is just so mad. It's like if Earth tried to encompass Jupiter. There would be no room. so I can get little pieces of it. And I said, I read all thing. I need more. World Warder, please. And I could feel an injection more come. And as I'm feeling like my whole astral body is on the verge of just full evisceration because there's so much, I finally got my fingers through that thick, dense, whatever it is, astral substance that makes up the projection of a reptilian entity, and I was able to get my fingers in there, and I was able to finally rip the head clear off, cleanly no, but clear off, and fiddle around with the throat and all the connective tissues until I could pop this head right off. And in a berserker roar that I could never reproduce unless I was in that moment once again, I felt the entire surface and whole astral world rumble, and enough to make all the fighting stop, and I could see a largely victorious army of Mars scattering a large portion of a reptilian force. And as I roared with this head, with this king's head in my arms, and roared with it now, holding it over my head as a rally point, this can this can happen. It is possible. It is very possible. And everything went into like this brilliant red and white. This light just dazzled out, and suddenly I was standing at the foot of Mars, and I'm holding this head in my hands, and he looks at it, and he reaches down and he takes it from me, and all the skin and all the ooze and all the fluid just dissipated, and here is this reptilian skull, and he puts it on the top of his spear, and he holds it above his head, and he says, "This is the rally point," and shows me this clear image of this reptilian skull pierced and riding on top of his spear. And then for I don't know how long I looked and gazed at that, and then woke up into this physical reality again, and I feel like I've been hit by a truck. But that image is so clear, and I get it now. That is a focal point. And I want everyone to use whatever imagery they want. Whatever it looks like to them is fine. As long as we focus on that image, we can have direct connection and energetic connection to that particular moment. And then as everyone else starts to build up with that connection, you can also then go and help and lead a force against these entities, because the reptilian race is a dying one. Their physical bodies, while they persist for a long, long time, are starting to fail them, and more of them are starting to flood into the interdimensional world, and they have to come through the astral world to do it. And really, this earth is being seeded for an invasion, and it's not necessarily going to be a physical one, but humans are being put into trances. They are being genetically altered and mutated, and it's seemingly for good reasons that we would come up with all this genetic information to boost our physicality into a new realm, but we are really just being fashioned into better hosts for these interdimensional beings, and us being a hijacked race, and sooner or later the only thing of a human that's going to be around is its flesh. Our human souls are not going to be allowed to manifest into human bodies anymore. We are just being seeded for a reptilian an other entity type of invasion, and we're just going to be meat hosts. Our world, our chance exists in the astral world, because once we change that incoming reality, we can even strengthen our efforts here. And I'm saying do both. Fight on the astral world and resist in the physical. If you're sitting around waiting for a pleading army to come and save us, it's the same as waiting around for Jesus to come and save you. It's fucking retarded. It's not going to happen. We are our only hope. We are our only chance. We are our only resistance force. Unless we start developing relations with powerful entities that are beautifully beneficial to humanity, who have been demonized by Christianity because Christianity has been co-opted by the enemy, we are doomed. There is no, you know what, if there is a giant force of Nords coming, if there is a giant force of Octurians coming, sweet. Sweet, they can help us. But if we're just going to sit around and wait and be at their mercy, you might as well just open yourself up to reptilian invasion right now and say, I give up. Whatever, I'm done. And believe me, they will, heed your call. But use this rally point. Use that image to strengthen your own resolve and then lead your own. If we all use that image of that now decapitated and deceased reptilian entity whose skull dangles on the spear of Mars, all of us have a direct visual link to an astral energy that can literally revolutionize and pull together humanity's strength and will. And we can be the spear holders. And should they charge upon our spears, woe for their stupidity. We're not tracking them down. They are breaking themselves against us. They're coming. Either we hold the spear and hold the line, or we roll over like she-bitch coyotes. It's your choice. I know where I stand.